Welcome to Behind the Badge with your hosts,
Lieutenant Ryan Williams,
and Officer Tammy Vandermolen.
your source for all things Fondy Police.
KFIZ today on a Friday. That means Behind the Badge, our weekly visit with the Fond du Lac Police Department. Lieutenant Ryan Williams back in studio after a couple of weeks away.
I don't know if I was still allowed here. It seems like it's been a while. Luckily, I walked right in, so no one
tried to stop you.
They didn't lock the doors.
Nobody's going to try to stop you. Of course, that voice you know, because she's been here the last couple of weeks. That's Cammy Vandermolen, recruitment and retention specialist. Great to have both of you in studio at the same time. We kind of been trading off back and forth weeks here in the new year, but a rare treat today. We get both of you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. We've been doing in service. That's kind of what we're going to talk about today. But we've been co-training on that too. So we've been spending a lot of time besides like all the videos and stuff that people see on YouTube and things like that. But
I've been seeing a lot of the content on Facebook, which has just been a lot of fun. You guys were racing around in chairs. I saw the most recent video, right?
Our Friday morning song.
Yeah, you finally got Katrina in the Waves, Walking on Sunshine. So how come you weren't? I saw in the video it said Cammy's been wanting that song for a while, and you weren't allowing her to have it, or why did she finally get it?
Cammy, for one, is kind of a music savant, especially of that era. Like, she knows a lot of stuff. My wife is very similar too to that. And so, yes, Cammy wanted that one for a while, but she also had a list of she immediately came up with a list of 50 songs.
That's a lot.
Like, she wants Bon Jovi every week and stuff like that. So, but that was one that had been the reoccurring one, so I definitely had to give in. And it's not like I was against it, it's just, there's usually I try on a Friday song to pick a mood or a topic that's kind of pertinent to what's going on. There's one example, we had a CSO that, our CSOs are usually students and stuff, and she was going through finals. So she goes, I need a final song, and I played that song from Animal House, the Don't Know Much About Chemistry.
Oh, gosh.
And it turned out to be really good, good luck for her. So then she had other finals, and she came back, she's like, I need that song played.
Need it again.
Yeah, so.
Oh, how fun.
So yeah. I mean, what a weird thing, it's just playing a song on Friday and kind of has taken off, and it's just something a little light in the mood at work,
It changes this thing, right? I've done the walk so you guys have the walk up songs that you do, I know, for the new hires. I every once in a while will do a walk out song. So before I'm getting ready to leave for work, it's all right, I need a little song, just something to get me in a good mood, get me out of here, and I'll play something, and then it's just you're walking out of here, you feel a lot better than you did.
We did that for retirement when Michelle Anthus left. She wanted Metallica 1.
That's a long one. That's
I was
7-minute song.
Yeah, she's gonna get her money's worth out of it, I guess. So
wow.
We did it. So
that's all right, good for her. So yes, back to in service. You guys got going on, right?
So we ran out of instructors for CPR, which usually is kind of officers have to do it every 2 years and get certified because it's important. We're first responders and we want to be able to be licensed in that. And so Cammy and I stepped up and we became instructors in CPR. And I'll be honest, it wasn't my most thing I was excited to do, but I'm actually enjoying it. So we're doing an in-service right now for police where it's half the day is CPR and the other half is emergency vehicle operations. In fact, if you are going on 41 southbound, if you look by the Chicago Tube and Iron, there's actually that area that we're working with the city. We got a loop where we're actually practicing emergency vehicle driving out there. So.
Oh, wow.
If you do see that, please don't come into the barricaded section.
Leave you guys alone.
Yeah. But CPR is actually kind of near to my heart, and I actually start my teaching with this story, which has nothing to do with policing, but it's just an amazing story. As you know, I think we talked about on the show, I was a pretty avid camper. We camped a lot, and one of the places that we frequent was Plymouth Rock in Plymouth by the Elkhart Lake area. And one day, I was sitting there at the side of the pool. I might have been having some beverages, wasn't on duty or anything like that.
You're camping.
With my neighbors. And there's some things that happen in life and what I call my cop instincts just kind of turned on. But I'm sure other people have other things to call. But there was a disturbance at the other end of the pool, and I knew it was bad. I knew just from the screams of the people that something bad was going on. So I was standing and I literally dropped my drink and ran in that direction. And I ran so it's a very long rectangle pool, and I ran around one way of the pool, and as I was running, I could see they were pulling a little girl out of the water, not breathing, pulseless, not responding. And I was just about to approach the girl, I'm like, okay, I'm trained in CPR, I can do this. And before I know it, the first thing I see is a breath mask thrown on the ground right next to the girl. And 2 other people had beat me there. Those 2 other people, and I'll mention them by name, they're Andrea Hodgson and Stephanie Ditter. They're my neighbors that I was literally sitting next to. I don't know how they beat me. Like, I responded quick. Andrea Hodgson, she used to teach CPR for Aurora Medical, and Stephanie Ditter is a registered nurse at SSM Health. And they beat me there, and they had a breath mask with them. And I was like amazed. So they started CPR. I was kind of relieved because I'm like, okay, now I can just do the cop things of controlling the crowd and stuff like that.
Right.
And they performed, I think it was probably 3 cycles of CPR on this child, and she came back.
Wow.
Just like the movies, spit up a lot of water. She jumped in the water and just swallowed a bunch of water right away, and just couldn't get her breath back. And brought her back, and she got transported still, and then she sent the most touching video back, thanking them for saving her life and stuff like that. And of all the things I've seen in police work, when it happened in your normal life, that just kind of stayed with me about just the importance of CPR. And when it was all said and done, and we're all like, oh my God, that just happened. I had to tell them, I said, you guys are heroes. You guys are legitimate heroes. You just saved someone's life. And I said, but I have to ask, where in the heck did that breath mask come from? Right? What? That was the last thing I expected to see. And I feel bad because I ran and they beat me there with a breath mask. So Andrea says, I teach CPR. I know the importance of the breath mask. I bring it with me everywhere. I've been literally camping with this person forever. I had no idea she kept the breath mask with her all the time. And she did, and that came in very handy in that situation. And there's a girl who's probably not so little anymore, it was about 5 years ago, that's alive because of that. So I start our CPR with that story. Because I think it's important to show, it's not just on police. I mean, we get dispatched and stuff, so we're directed to it, but it's your everyday life. You have to be prepared for things like that. And it's not just police, it's everybody. Just have those extra things. Right now, CPR is teaching us that because of diseases and stuff like that, if you don't have a breath mask, you should just be doing compressions 30 and then pause and then 30 again. So it's important to have that breath mask with you and be prepared for those instances. Another thing that I had, and this was for me on duty, I was unfortunately involved or dispatched to a infant that was unresponsive. And so I found myself giving CPR to an infant. And unfortunately, I was not, the infant did not pull through. And it's one of those calls, with many calls in policing, not many of them stick with you, but that one will always stick with me because, for one, it's just it's not common, and you feel like this is a child, and CPR is that's a messy thing to do. It's hard pushing on an infant's chest, but it's either that or the other thing, and that's just one thing that's always resided with me in CPR, and it's kind of got a new wind where now I can kind of use these stories and my passion for those things to prepare our officers for future engagements, because there's things I learned that when I was doing the CPR on that infant, you got loved ones around, being panicked. There's some things I may have done differently, and I teach that to other officers and stuff like that. And I didn't do anything wrong, just some things I would have probably done differently, not considering all the ramifications of things. So some class that we're kind of just required to do has kind of turned into something I'm passionate about, and I think that's good. I think we've had good trainings, and Cami and I work really well together as far as we've hit our stride. Where she knows the parts she takes and I know the
Yeah,
parts.
and I would agree, I felt the same way. I was like, okay, there's a need, and I'm like, Ryan, if there's a need, we'll step up and we'll fill that gap. Because we both care so passionately about, our department and the training everybody gets. And I've come to now become extremely passionate about CPR. I'm enjoying myself. I teach emergency vehicle operations and control as well, the EVAC, the other portion of the spring training. But I'm having a lot of fun teaching the CPR. I think maybe because it is so rewarding. When Ryan asks in the beginning about who's all given CPR on duty, and my hand goes up and other people's hand goes up, and I'm like, wow, we do this a lot, and it's really important to stay up on those skills and be proficient at it. And I feel good, like that's you're really making sure that those officers are prepared to go out there and have their stories to be able to tell, and hopefully a lot of saves. So
There's a lot of officers that can legitimately say, I saved someone's life, and there's something very, very special about that, and a lot of times that comes from CPR. And with the amount of overdoses and things that are going on there, and a lot of overdoses, their pulse is so slow, they are almost pulseless, non-breathing. So officers are doing CPR on a pretty regular basis. So it's good to refresh on it, make sure everybody's doing things the best possible way that they can. So yeah, it's been a really good training.
And lots of positive feedback from our officers who've gone through it, so that's always nice to hear that they're getting something out of it, that they're feeling like they're learning something, and that they're feeling comfortable and confident in their skills, and that's good to hear.
And anyone that's trained with me knows that if I'm training, I'm not going to be doing things the exact same way that we always do. I always have to add a twist. I can't tell you what the twist is right now because some of my officers need to go through yet.
That's right.
And we'll talk about future shows. But I did add a twist because we can't just go through the motions on training. We have to add different things because we got to consider that when this happens, it's going to be one of the most stressful things in our life, right? We're trying to save someone's life. So we have to, in training, throw wrenches into the plan, because what that does is that gets your mind to be able to think under stress and to come up with rational thoughts. And it's kind of cool because like when we see some of the problems that I throw at them, there's almost like a light on moment, like a click on moment. They're like, oh, I need to do this. And then as soon as they do it, it's professional, they get through it. And then I know if that certain circumstance ends up happening on the road, they've already done a mental lap on it. So it's going to speed up the response that much because they've done it before. So it's kind of a cool thing. It's all part of training. It's something that, as a trainer, I always try to do. I will never put out the same in service. Like, I don't think there's any reason. We've done it already. Let's move on to something else. And maybe we do the same drill, but we're just going to add a different wrinkle this time to make it new and fresh so that we're all learning and advancing.
Yeah, and I was just going to add for the listeners out there, if you're not trained in CPR, go on the American Heart Association website. There's classes offered all the time, and it's worth the time. So.
It definitely is.
It was, when we became instructors, it was a little bit crazy because so you have to teach in front of a class and be monitored before you become an instructor. Well, our classes that we taught, they weren't officers. We were so nervous because we were teaching nurses.
Yes.
And trained licensed professionals.
Healthcare providers, yeah.
In CPR. And I'd be like, I'll take a room full of officers any day because I am just so intimidated. And I told them that. I said, I am so intimidated by you guys right now. And I said, I'm going to do my best so that we all get to this place. But the American Heart Association does a really good job as far as streamlining their training. So that was good.
Well done. Congratulations to you both. Appreciate it. Appreciate the stories. Appreciate the time. It's Behind the Badge. KFIZ today.